But how did you get out of that mindset and how did you accelerate it to this level?
So I think I learned that through pain. And I hope that you guys that are listening to us here do not need to go through that, because there's a few ways that we can learn. One is through pain, and that's how was my way. I have to lose and feel the pain of losing $50,000. Maybe for most of us that are listening here, 50,000 might not be as much, but think that who lost that was a Priscilla version on her early 20s, just finished high school, going through college, trying to put all the money that she had together and losing everything. So that was painful.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wealth Pipe Show. Imagine a vault, strong, secure, protected. Now imagine that vault isn't holding gold or cash, but clarity, confidence, a deep grounded sense of financial and emotional safety that can weather anything. That's what we're exploring today on the Wealth Vibe Show. I'm thrilled to announce you a guest who knows exactly how to help people create that kind of security. Pri Cosentino is a senior East advisor with decades of financial experience in both Brazil and US. She's been mentored over 10 years by Dan Brooks and founder of Virtual Capital Management. And her approach isn't just about numbers, it's about helping people plan smart, live well, and feel confident about their money. She speaks English, Portuguese, Spanish, and German. She works with people from all over the world to help them build wealth in a way that really fits their life. Pri, welcome to the Wealth Wife Show. I'm so excited to have you with me today.
Thank you, Vinki. It's a pleasure for me to be here. It's a pleasure to be with all of you at home, listen to this podcast. It's so amazing to have this opportunity and to be able to share a little bit about something that's my passion.
I'm super excited to hear your story. And then our podcast title today is The Vault Mindset, How to Build Unbreakable Wealth from Inside Out. So, Pri, let's dig in. Can you take us back to your very first time when you realized that you have a gift for finance or this strategy? What was young Pri like?
Young Pri was a kid taken care by her grandparents and really loving to study and to play around. I'm going to tell my age now here, but I used to do spreadsheets on paper, right? We used to talk. Nowadays we have Excel, we have all the other tools. AI can do it, but I am from the time that you have an eraser and fix the numbers. And if something was a mistake, you would be almost crazy about it. So that was my first beginning about finances. And another big story about my finance journey, besides being working with finances in a diverse amount of companies since my young years, was actually when really young, I was able to make some money and I got together some money. And I was planning to invest because I knew the importance of retirement. I wanted to retire really early with really big dreams. But that put me losing $50,000 on spot because I did the wrong investment.
Wow. So what did you learn from that wrong investment? I know that was like bad thing. It was a lot of money and it's a lot of money in today's day too. But sometimes the bad experience give us something positive. So I think it turned out to be really positive for you. So can you share with us your learnings? What did you learn from that experience?
Sure. Actually, great question, Winky. That actually was nowadays the best thing because it's because of what happened that I found my path. I understood my mission here, that I didn't want others to have to pass through the same things that happened to me before. But most important, and in the beginning, when all of that happened, I understood that I was not a know-it-all. Even though I was 20 years old, I had a lot to learn. I had a lot that I was missing. And I need to find the right people to be by my side. So for me to learn, I could not try to think that I knew it and that was enough. I needed to recognize that the right studies was super important.
You said it was something really important right there, just being aware what you do not know. And a lot of times, we stay in our own cocoon or in our little box thinking we know it all, right? So when we have that feeling we know it all, it's very hard to move forward in a way that's more productive, right? So how did you, I know big loss was a big setback for you. So you learned a lot from that, but how did you get out of that mindset and how did you accelerate it to this level?
So I think I learned that through pain. And I hope that you guys that are listening to us here do not need to go through that, because there's a few ways that we can learn. One is through pain, and that's how was my way. I have to lose and feel the pain of losing $50,000. Maybe
Mhm.
for most of us that are listening here, 50,000 might not be as much, but think that who lost that was a Priscilla version on her early 20s, just finished high school, going through college, trying to put all the money that she had together and losing everything. So that was painful, like to
Mhm.
see that the little that I had was completely gone. And there is another way that we can learn through seeing others and listen to other stories, listen to podcasts like we are here, learning from every other episode, everything that's happening. So that's a great way. And understand, I think that was the most important path for me. It's not only I learned with pain that I don't know it all, but I need to look for the right help to help me with that. And yes, we have internet nowadays. We can have AI to answer our questions, but it's hard for us to ask questions that's the right one when we don't know. Because the hardest part is to understand that we don't know what we don't know. So we won't be able to choose the right choices for us. If I don't know, how can I choose what's right for me? If I don't know, how can I ask AI what I'm looking for? Because I'm not aware of that. So I need to find the right people to help me through this path.
Mhm. You said it very well, because if you do not know, you do not know, basically. And I don't think all these technology tools can help you that much until you know what you want, basically. So I was reading in your bio earlier that you have worked in advertising, events, even in the retail across continents. So most people stick to one industry or one country. So you have a very diverse experience. So if you can walk us through what was that journey like?
Was a really great experience and was really important for me because working across different cultures and countries allowed me to understand that we need to do the right planning. Each country and each structure are completely different. And I
Mm-hmm.
need to understand what matters to me first. So when we
Mm-hmm.
are talking about all of this, I need to understand what are my values that I want, what matters for me the most when we are talking about all of this. Then I have to understand that each place here in the States, each state would be different, right? We have different rules, we have different taxations, we have different options when we have different countries, and we can use the best for each place like that. So we need to gather all of these informations together, but that's only valid if I'm choosing what matches what's important for me.
To your
So
values.
if I don't know what's important, I cannot go ahead and say, go invest A, B, and C if it doesn't match with you. Maybe it's not something that you agree with. Maybe your dream is different than mine, and we need to perceive that. So only the person can truly make that decision. And working across different cultures allowed me to understand that that also works different for each culture and how we need to deal with all of that. And I think the most important part was that helped me understand that each place that I step in, I need to see what's the best for me based on that place. Because living here in the US, I can tell you taxation is completely different than living back in Brazil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree on that 100%. Plus, when you go cross boundaries, it opens up your mind because everybody is wired differently. Everybody thinks differently, and especially across countries because our values, our norms, our daily rituals, things are so different. Even though we are the same people, same level of same energy, I would say, regardless where we are or where we grew up. But the thing is, our conditioning is so different because each society is different. So I love that your work blends human behavior with this technical planning that you've been sharing. So when you meet a new client, what's the first thing you listen for or look for when helping them start their journey? Like maybe we could call it a vault journey because we were talking about the vault mindset.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the most important piece is to understand what matters to them. Because each culture, as we mentioned before, right, it's completely different. So I cannot put I like to make this comparison, right? If I go ahead and use my glasses here and try to make you try to see with my glasses work perfectly for me. But
Mm-hmm.
if you try to use them, it's not going to work. And the opposite as well, right? So if I try to use yours, is not going to work. So I try to bring clarity to anyone that we are working together of what matters to you. When we understand that, then we go through our process that going for education.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I know what's important for me, then I can start educating myself about all the options, what
Mm-hmm.
is available. And those options, when I understand what it is, we are smart people. You just listen to us here are smart people. So you can make the decision in the moment that you know about that, right? We already spoke about this. You don't know what you don't know, but now when the moment that you know what's important for you, you understand, then we can work together, create the right analysis, do the right strategy for you so you can enjoy the best part. Because when we are building our wealth, when we are building our journey, that's the best way to do it.
I like that, how you said giving the clarity to the clients because clarity is very important. Often, people have thoughts, but it could be fuzzy. They do not have that much clarity around it. And like you gave the analogy of the glasses, I agree that with that 100% because if you're trying to see the world with other people's set of glasses, it's not going to be the same and the picture's not going to be that rosy either. So you have to understand your own values, where you're coming from. So I think should call this is like a vault building strategy, which is really strong, emotional, and visual as well, because you can relate to something, right? Because it's just like the mindset that you're building behind it. So I'm going to ask you this question here. So if I use this terminology, vault building, what does that mean to you? And how is it different from the traditional wealth planning?
I think the difference that when we are talking about building something, we are talking about brick by brick. We are
Mm-hmm.
talking about a solid foundation. We making the right decision. So that's it allowed us to build legacy for what
Mm-hmm.
matters for us the most. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about only like growing money. Is about much more than that. It's about consistency. It's about doing finding the right tune about it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
building a house. You need to do a solid foundation, then you can do the walls, then you can start putting the details all the way to decoration, and you can change your decoration with time. So when we do this wealth building, we can definitely create the difference between just the regular planning.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And the other key thing that you said over here, this is not just the earning money or making money. You're talking about something bigger than that, the generational wealth. And if you wanted to build generational wealth, it has to be like brick by brick, and every brick has to set in a perfect order, right? To create that building or create the legacy for you. And I was also reading in your bio, all these golden nuggets that you're sharing with us, it's not just like that because you've been with this mentor, Dan Brooks, for over a decade, and which is rare. Most people don't stick with one mentor that long because they wanted to look for something new all the time. But what did you learn from him? And what would you like to share with us today? Any big mindset shifts or habits that you learned from him and that you're still carrying today with you?
Consistency. I think that's the big part of everything that I learned, because it's super important for us to have diverse mentors. But if we start going to all over the place,
Mm-hmm.
we lose track of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's not only one time that things is going to work. We need to be consistent and stay there. Even though sometimes the path is not easy. If I want to create a new habit, we need at least, according to some studies, 21 days
Mhm.
of doing that every single day. Some studies brings and tells us that we need 3 months.
Mhm.
So I think about when I learned with him is understand that I can go, but I need to be consistent. I need to be together walking the walk with someone that I can see that take the right path, that we have similar visions about truly helping. So that was a big reason why I make the decision. I'm not going to say that I didn't went ahead and evolve or grow, but sometimes too much can be even hurtful if I'm just jumping from one to the other and just grabbing pieces all over the places, because we were just talking about building something solid. If I get different bricks with different sizes and I'm not making them work together, I might not build a solid house.
I agree on that 100%. That's all about alignment, right? And I like that how you mentioned that, each habit, it takes time to form, and consistency is the key right there. You said 21 days. And I think I heard that 14 days to whenever you wanted to learn something new and make it a habit, you have to do it consistently 14 days, maybe twice a day, to form that habit. Then it gets ingrained in back of your mind, or it just gets into your DNA somehow. Then if you don't do it, you start missing out, and that's the reason you wanted to be consistent with that. So let's talk about alignment now, since you touch on that. So how do you help people design a financial life that aligns with their purpose, and not just with the paycheck, or just attached to money only?
So as we mentioned a little bit before, right? So we start understanding the same way that I did, is understanding what are my principles and values. So I
Mhm.
think the first part is understanding what's important for the client. So if we think about building our house, how do you want your house? What's important for you? Because
Mhm.
houses are completely different. Investments are completely different. Am I looking to build a family? Am I looking to have kids? Am I looking to be a single person? Do I look for a school nearby, or do I look to be easy access for the nightlife? None of those answers are wrong or right, but we need to understand what is the right answer to the client. So that's the
Mhm.
first step that we need to understand. Design together, understand the scenario that are living right now. So bringing conscious about understanding what are the life that they are doing right now. Okay, so I know where they want to go. I understand what they're doing right now. So now we can start analyzing all the pieces together to start developing the right strategy so all of this can happen. How can I make that happen in the time frame? How can I make that happen with what they believe? And most important is what's missing from them through our conversation. Do they need to be in some topic a little bit more educated? So if we mention about diverse types of options, um, what means a diverse amount of options that exist? What means types of investments? What are the options? What can I do with my salary? How can I do something that I think is a lot of people might even confuse, is like, if you make the decision to build wealth and create generational wealth, you have to decide to not have a life right now. No, you can make the decision to have both. You can enjoy, but also build something. Yes, sometimes you're going to need to know what are going to be the right choice. But because we start with your principles and values, we start having your yeses and nos much easier. Because when we know what's my goal, when I understand what's my principles and values, I know what to say yes, and I know what to say no.
So in the wealth management, where you are right now, where you stand, there's like so many investment options for your clients that you can advise people on. So I understand that you talk to the client first, you understand their vision, what their vision is, and where they want to be, and then you help them accordingly, fill the colors in their vision basically, and guide them through the investments. So I'm going to ask you this: what are the best strategy that you help somebody with, first timer, somebody comes to you? So what is going to be the good strategy to go with them from the investment perspective I'm talking about? Like, how would you guide them? Okay, investment is the key for you, and they are new to investment, because a lot of people, they get scared about the thought of investing, because like for my I'm going to give you the example, like for myself, where I come from. I'm from India, right? In my days, uh, I will call it olden days, basically, our parents used to tell us, go to school, get the degree, get a white collar job, make tons of money, and stash it on the mattress, basically, right? Don't do anything with that. So thinking about investment, that's like kind of far-fetched idea. So if somebody even talk to you, you just kind of tune out. Oh no, this is not me. So that's what I'm talking about. So how would you introduce somebody to this concept? Hey, you can put your money to work. Your experience.
Sure. I think that, and great question, and thank you for sharing about you. I think it's first and foremost, yes, I definitely agree with you, because I heard that in a little bit too, but kind of the opposite way. Everything was about investment in my grandpa. I need to remember, right? He was much older because he was my grandpa, right? So he was in another position of life compared to the age of my parents. So I think the first thing is understanding and explaining that there is a great tool that's not only we working. So it's about we understanding and explaining something. And that goes a little bit more towards the neuroscience background that help us understand that we are based on three beliefs systems that allows us to understand what means, and that's connected to money. So it's we understanding who we are, what we can do, and what we deserve to conquer. So that would be one piece. Another important part is understanding and explaining about there's different type of investments, and all of them are based on the risk. So it's go over about what risk means, because each one of them, if we think about diverse options from the stock market to real estate investments to bank investments to insurance company investments. So we have a big amount of options, right?
Mhm.
Each one of them, even inside of all of this, they have different risks. So basically, what means that when you see a big pile of money, you see right here in front of you, how do you feel about this? And there's strategies that we use, there's questions that we use to measure that. But when we understand how we feel about that, we can then adapt and understand that there's all those strategies that can fit in and allowed me to, when working with my neuroscience, when working with understanding that that I can accomplish things and that I deserve to have things, I can make my money work for me. But all of this has to work together. I know that I went super deep here. I apologize, but just a
Oh, no,
little
no,
bit
no,
of
it's all
overview.
good. Nice, all good. So we're going to dig even deeper. So I'm going to go to your neuroscience experience now. So you raised three questions. Those are really important, really, really important for everyone who's ever listening, who you are. That's the number one question in this world that, people struggle with all the time, because it's not the image that the society gave you, or your coworkers, your friends, your family gave you some kind of,
Mhm.
imaginative picture, that you think about that, okay, this is me. And all your life, you struggle to be that you. So, right. And you do not know who you are, your own potential. So, I would love to hear your experience on that. So, share with us, who are you?
Sure. I'm going to first start explaining a big mistake that I did too, and going to mention to you. For a long time, I would come here and say, if you ask me who am I would say I'm a financial advisor. I would answer you with not who I am, but with what I was doing at that time. And that's what we learn in years and years. That's what our culture bring to us, that you mentioned exactly. If it's for our coworkers, it's for our family, it's for all of this. So when you ask me, and I now understand what means the difference of these three layers, is that who am I? I'm a Priscilla. I'm daughter of God. I am loved. I'm cared for. I'm a beautiful daughter. I'm a beautiful granddaughter. I am married. I have 4 beautiful dogs that I love the most. I'm someone that loves to travel, loves to study, and I'm here to all my heart to always be useful, to serve and help others. That's who I am. But took me time to understand the difference between this and me answering you for a long time period. I do this as who I am.
That's true. So the next question was, what do we do, right? And then you did mention that when you answer the last question, what did we do, right? Or what do we do, basically? So that also defines us. But that's again gets defined by the image or the titles that you get either from the society, your family, or your career. Like you said, you're a financial advisor. But those all again defines your role, right? And that decides you what we do or what you do, basically. So I would like you to go back and wear your neuroscientist hat and share with us your experience there as well.
So it's a great point. So what we do, I define one point because that's what we normally mention, but we need to understand what we do is a different amount of things depending on our area in our life. So let's say that, and there's a diverse amount of scientists. I'm going to use one of them, Dr. Vieira, that mentioned about we have 11 areas of our lives that are important for us. In each one of those, I will do something. I'm going to be the best on something. So myself, when I'm talking about my family, I am a spouse. When I'm talking about my friends, I'm going to be a friend that they can count on. When I'm talking about my work, then I'm the advisor. When I'm talking about my health, I am the runner. So doing is understanding that we have different hats, and those hats can change with time because we start all of this as kids. So our work was going to school, right?
Right.
So this is a part of all of this, is for us to understand that doing does should not define us. Doing is something that I'm currently doing, and that's okay to change. And that's how I can make money. The actions that I can do allows me to make money, allows me to conquer things, allows me to act towards things. So that what do mean, but it's not only, I think the biggest point that you might be wanting to reach is like, we a lot of times simplify so much in 1 or 2 words. That's not the truth. I cannot go ahead and just mention one thing because I'm not only one thing. Each one of us here are much more than that. You have investment company, but you're not only that. You're much
I
more than that.
agree on that 100%. Oh my God, this is pure gold right here because the reason I ask you this question is because a lot of times, and me too, because I have multiple experience throughout my life. There's some point in your life you feel like I'm stuck. Because there's no reason to be stuck, right? This is like a mental block. And that's the reason I wanted to bring this question to you, asking you about what do we do, right? Because when you go into the doing, sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm stuck. I cannot get out. I cannot do anything. But no, That is not the case because you're doing multiple things and multiple different times. And it's just like one small thing, maybe you feel like it's just a small little hurdle. I would say just learn from it, let it pass, and then go to the next level. So the third question comes, what do we deserve? That's a very important question again, because we keep on telling ourselves stories. I do not deserve this, or I deserve this, right? So let's hear from your experience and how do we, you know, get over it if somebody is going through that.
So I think deserving is us understanding that we can deserve everything.
Hmm.
Everything that's legal, everything that's possible, everything that we believe on. Why we don't believe that we deserve is based on everything that happens with us between 0 to 12 years old, basically. It's a little bit more than that, but just try to summarize in an easy way. So everything that happens in our childhood and anything else that happened with so strongly impact with our lives. Because those things, and it's not necessarily something big in a big way, but some phrases, someone that just told us that and not even in the sense of that, but someone that just told, keep quiet, you should not talk when adults are talking. You you don't know enough, so when others are talking, please do not mention anything. When you sit in a table, do not comment. Those phrases and
Stay with you.
others will stay with you unconsciously, will be stuck in your mind. So when we grow up, that's why for us it's so hard. Maybe you have had that with something that happened in your childhood and you don't truly remember, but nowadays you have a hard time. Maybe you didn't communicate, or you had a friend that have that comes in, doesn't talk with anyone and goes out, and then when it's only you and the person is amazing, is knowledgeable, but when it's in a group, doesn't share one word. Those are scenarios because of those phrases that I mentioned before. They heard us. So why is so complicated for us to believe that we deserve? Because things like that. I grew up in a country that I heard a lot. Kind of an expression is that money doesn't grow on tree.
Please.
I
I
know
heard
that's not the truth. That's not the truth. Money grows, tree makes money. You can make paper, you can sell the fruits. It's not, but the expression that we had was something like that. So that would mean don't spend money with everything. You need to be holding tight everything. Like you mentioned with your a mattress store, right? Keep everything really tight close to you because you need to make and keep everything. So when is my time to do the next step? I'm scared because
yes.
I go back without even thinking that money doesn't grow on tree and what's going to happen? I cannot make it generate again. Money cannot work for me. And that's not the reality. My money can work for myself. If I go and buy an investment, I can make that happen. There's different types of investments, can be for growth, can be for income. So I just need to allow that to happen. But because of everything that happened to us in the past, that's what blocks us from the deserving beliefs of really accomplish things. And that's something that's doable to work on, but requires a little bit more in-depth discussion.
Mhm. Yeah. So I read in your bio that you're a published author as well. So that tells me you are a storyteller at heart. So is there a story from your life or clients that really show the power of building you, who you are today?
Yes, a few of them. So you do have here in my background, this is one of the books, Metanoia, that's actually a share about the mind change and how to do that with wealth as well. Business in Heels, it's a woman's movement that we talk about entrepreneurship and how all those options. And I think when we work towards stories, it's super important to have those shared with others, right? I think one of the stories that I am more impressed with, it's a simple, really client that I worked with for a few years. We started our partnership a few years ago. I'm going to call here Mr. Kennedy. I do have the option to disclose his story here. That's why I'm choosing his. But we started with our plan to build a financial change for him. But everything got much more complicated because we got that during the pandemic. And with the pandemic, most of his work got cut off because he was working with the public. He worked with comedy and stand-up comedy. So most of his shows, if all of us remember at that time, couldn't be in person, right? So that got a big hit on him. And we went back to understand this pyramid of his beliefs, and then reworking about everything, because he was a great comedy person. He was an even better writer, but he was so confused about who he was, and so confused that everything that happened, that we were able to work and align that, then creating his new plan, then putting everything together for him to understand and working. So nowadays he's back, fully happy, not only working as a comedian as well, but also working as a writer for big companies, putting himself out there, being part of shows. So that gives me a lot of happiness to share. But most importantly was seeing how he was able to start building his wealth and legacy, because he went through someone that was completely confused, and he was living paycheck by paycheck, with a moment that where he was locked up basically by the pandemic, right? No options there, nothing, no one really knowing what was going on, to the point that now he's being able to put his dream and understand, not only working for himself, but start building so he can do his goal. That's retired at 67. Actually, he's super specific with his age, but to retire at 67 with the life that he's looking for, with the assets that he's looking for. So that was a great story that I love to share. And I did ask his permission, because I think he's so empowered to see how his life changed. But first, unfortunately, if you remember the beginning of our conversation, he had to deal that with pain.
That's true. I think a lot of people learn from pain because that's a sad thing, you know. You don't have to go through pain to get to wherever you need to be, but most of the time, I would say, or a lot of times I've seen that the setbacks, they kind of pull you back. So, what are some of the myths or traps that keep people from building the true wealth? Because I know there is so much noise in the financial world, you know, all the time, so much fear, so much resistance or hesitation, you know. So, what are some of the myths that you can share with us, or you learned from your clients? And then you help them kind of bust that.
I think when we talk about some of the traditional concepts, right? If I say here something like, if you want more growth, you need to take more risk. That's kind of what everyone here is thinking.
That's side.
That's not necessarily true. Diversification actually is a big piece of all of this, understanding the right type of what's right for me. So I think the first thing is identifying and helping us understand that not all the concepts that we grow with are 100% correct. It's not that's wrong, but unfortunately, we share in all the industries, but finances, investments, even more. I get just the best part of something and share with everyone, right? So I need to sometimes break that. Is if the same thing when we identify about our selves is some things that happened for us in the past, and we both shared here stories. Me about the money doesn't grow on tree. You talking about the holding money tight. Those stories can be super challenging, and they can reflect in how we deal with money. So identifying those things in helping bring clarity that that's not everything. And I think a great reference would be understanding that money, it's helpful. Money is a tool. We don't need to be scared of it. It's not putting money in a pedestal. It's not the king. It's not the biggest. But money is a tool that can allow us to put ourselves in places, in life scenarios that we want for ourselves and for the ones that we love.
I agree on that 100%. Money is an energy. It is basically an energy. And once we start looking as a tool, as an energy, which is gonna help us accelerate in multiple or multifold, it's like it really helps you because you're releasing multiple blocks around money. There's nothing like good or bad about money, or there is nothing like that. You deserve this or you don't deserve this. It's just energy. You just need to flex your muscle. So you have to understand that this is the energy, and I want you to flex it in a way that I could be just like growing all around, not just like one aspect of me, just like a holistic picture right there. So I'm going to ask you this one last question. For someone listening today who feels behind, overwhelmed, or unsure where to start, what are the first 3 steps they can take to begin building their own vault or wealth vault, I should say?
I think the first and foremost is having something that's might be weird nowadays with technology, but it's having intimacy with money. Something that we lost a lot, but is to hold money, cash, physical cash with us. That's going to help us a lot, because I think one concept that digital wallet, right? So if I want to pay something, I just need my phone and that's it. I don't even need to think about how that process. When I go back to dealing with cash, that start helping me understand that relationship and how cash can be a tool, but sometimes can be a different understanding or even can generate limitations. So I think that's the one big step, super important for me to create this relationship. Second is understanding what are my principles and values. What is for me the most important things? What for me is the order of what matters for me the most, right? And then the third thing is having clarity. What matters for me? Where do I want to get? And something that's hard for us, we have seen a lot of jokes online about this, is how is my life right now? What's the picture of my life? And sometimes we don't want to see. Sometimes we don't want to really look at it. We can even have a ton of money. Like, we might not be financially poor when we think in our day-to-day, but we might spend a ton because we don't even know our picture, because we are not looking at it. I'm sure all of us have seen a ton of people joking about how many subscriptions we have, but that's a true question, because everything nowadays is a subscription.
That's so true. That's so true.
And we need, but it's so easy for us to lose track of them because we just started things here and there. I was in a debate this week about AI, and one of the speakers was mentioning that he's like, I'm talking about a lot of tools here, but please be careful. I need to let you know that tons of them are paid. Do not start just because I told you about these tools, making a subscription. I'm not suggesting you that. I'm saying know about them. And then when you educate yourself, you make the right decision. So that's kind of what he was trying to say, is like, be careful, because that's true. It's too much. And a lot of us, unfortunately, might not know exactly how is our expenses looking like. It's like taking a picture.
I think this is so powerful, whatever you just said, your relationship with your money is very, very important. And then I think that has been fading with this technology play and all the way the things are happening. I don't even think that our newer generations, they're going to have the similar concept about money that we used to have, or the way we talk about it. Things are changing rapidly. So you need to learn what your relationship to money is. And the other thing that you mentioned, really key, is having the clarity. Because you need to know, you need to be clear about things, what you are, where you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it. All these things are very, very important. You cannot be just blindsided and just looking at the image that was given to you by the society and thinking that's what you are. Is super hard. But thank you so much for all those golden nuggets. So let's move on to our rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You're going to answer it in one word or one sentence. We're going to go very rapidly, okay? So whatever comes to your mind, just quickly answer that. There's no right and wrong, by the way, okay? Are you ready? Okay, the first question is...
The best that I can.
Yes, the best of your knowledge. The first investment you ever made.
Buying a house.
One word to describe your money mindset.
Wealth.
A financial habit you swear by.
Clear vision, seeing where I want to get every single day. So looking to my goal every single day.
Great. Book that changed your life.
The Power of Action by Dr. Vieira.
If you could give your younger self one sentence of advice, what would that be?
Be consistent.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so powerful. So, Pri, this was such an incredible show. I feel like we just opened a secret vault of our minds, and it's filled with truly gold. I'm telling you that. It was like really, really awesome episode. I think you just not given us so many strategies, but also I think you touched us at the soul level, just like, going beyond who we are, that we think of ourselves. So I think that was really, really powerful. So for my listeners, if anybody wants to connect with you or follow your work, how they can reach out to you?
First and foremost, was a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for all of your listeners as well. And you can all find me at my website, pricosentino.com, pricosentino.com. And you can find myself as well on social media, Priscila. That's the easiest way to find. So my website or any social media, I go by Priscila.
Thanks, Pri. Really appreciate that. And to our listeners, remember, your vault isn't built in a day. It's built every time you choose clarity over chaos, alignment over anxiety, and courage over comfort. So thanks for tuning in to the Wealth Vibe Show today. Until next time, stay aligned, stay intentional, and always protect what matters most. Stay wealthy in every sense of the word. So see you guys next time. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wealth Vibe Show. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget your free gift. Download the Busy Professional's Guide to Real Estate Investing at loombainvest.com. See you next time with another amazing guest and another powerful conversation.